everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We are live here with René Rodriguez. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Katie Sweeney. I'm the EVP of Strategy here at AIME. René is the founder of a series called Amplifii that a lot of our members have taken part in over the last couple of months. I've gotten to know René over the last few months myself. We were brought together through mutual friends that have all gone through his course before. Everybody was raving about this guy named René, who was running around teaching our loan officers not only how to be better LOs, but how to be better leaders within their communities. His courses resonate across the board in any facet of the industry, and we're all huge fans of him. If any of you were at Activate, you saw him there. He helped host the entire event, and hopefully he'll be a part of a lot of our events moving forward. So René, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Katie. How are you?
I'm good. Trying to get used to this whole work from home thing. I did it for a while and then have been in the office at AIME for the last 6 months or so. So going back to working from home is a little bit weird.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I work from home or airports or hotels, so I'm actually right at home right now. So
this is completely normal.
Pretty normal. Yeah. Well, actually, it's not normal being at home. Usually I'm gone, so it's true. Nice to be at home a little bit more.
Very true. So we're going to get right into it because we know everybody is super busy. Today, we're going to be talking to René about communication strategies in times of crisis. Right now, everybody's a little bit uncertain around what's going to happen, where things are going to go. We've got not only concerns ourselves, but then we've got to be leaders within our teams and then also within our communities, making sure that all of your team members feel secure in the direction of the industry and what you're doing to tackle and navigate through all of these challenges. And then also, how are you talking to your consumers around what's going on and all of the volatility in the market with all the craziness that's happening right now? So René, one of the big things that everybody wants to know is how can brokers communicate effectively and provide reassurance while also being very clear and concise on what the current environment looks like for consumers?
Absolutely. I actually spoke to one of my friends who's a broadcast reporter, national reporter, and I asked her, I said, right now, I said, this is such a critical time for somebody with your skill set. What do you recommend? And it was so simple what she said. She said, right now, communication does not have to be perfect, but it has to be accurate and accessible. So you have to be accurate and very accessible in how we do that. And so doing Facebook Lives, going there live is very critical. Also being accurate right now. The worst thing that we could be doing right now is spreading misinformation. We are in a serious crisis right now. There's a lot of stuff going around that is inaccurate. There's a lot of guesswork. So the best we can do is to find the professional sources and share that information. But I think on top of that all, is we have to also take ownership of the fact that we are the media. You see a lot of people right now complaining about the media and what's going on. And I giggle to myself because I'm thinking, but isn't this a social media world where we are the media right now? And if you're complaining about the negative media, then why did you post that negative concept or that negative post in complaining about it? Somebody was saying, aren't we sick about hearing about X? And my response to somebody was, yes, so delete your post. If you're sick about hearing about it, why would you post it again? I mean, so
why are you talking about it?
Yeah, exactly. And so one is to take ownership over the fact that we can influence right now. What we post is being seen by somebody. Now, it doesn't feel like it might be seen by everybody. There's a great African proverb that says, no raindrop ever felt responsible for the flood. Well, a lot of us too often feel like raindrops where, oh, my little post won't do anything. My joke, my meme won't do anything. Well, it's the combination of hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands and millions of little raindrops that come together to create this flood. Somebody's got to go out there and decide to put something that is accurate as well as timely and accessible. But the other piece to it too is that we have a choice in how we communicate these things. There's a difference between being prepared and being panicked. And I think that is where the push is and pull.
So how do you do that? How do you keep yourself calm and level-headed when you don't actually know all the answers yourself?
So my background is in behavioral neuroscience, so I look at everything from what's happening in this brain of ours, right? And so at the end of the day, if I were to distill it all down, I could tell you anything, but it's about how you manage stress. And stress is a physiological component, physiological piece that happens to all of us. And when we understand how it's affected and how we're affected by the stress, we can start understanding how to manage it. When our stress increases, when we're scared about something, we hear a scary report, or we start panicking, our parasympathetic nervous system shuts down, our sympathetic nervous system takes over. We call it system 1 or reptilian. In fact, I'm going to be launching a bunch of videos free to the community on going through this exact stuff, just so we understand what's going on. But once we understand that our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems are antagonistic, they can't function at the same time. Sympathetic is our excited, nervous, stress response. Parasympathetic is our relaxed response. They can't happen at the same time. And so we have to be able to learn to calm the sympathetic nervous system down and engage in the parasympathetic. The only way to do that, if you ask a Navy SEAL, because that is their battle, are they in that system 1 or system 2? System 1 being stressed and anxious, system 2 being thoughtful and methodical. The only bridge between the two is to take a deep breath. And they do a thing called box breathing. 4 seconds in, hold 4 seconds, 4 seconds out, hold 4 seconds, 4 seconds in. And that process is what gets their brain to function clearly. And when their brain functions clearly, their thoughts come clear and they can see the world. And so be cautious of what you post. Make sure it's accurate. Is it reflective of the environment you want to create? Because you are affecting the environment. So one is be conscious of what you're posting, but take ownership of what's going on. And managing your own stress, learn how to breathe.
Learn how to breathe. I think we could all take one. And if that doesn't work, have a glass of wine. Maybe
that works too, right? Yeah, absolutely.
So as you're communicating with your consumers and with your teams, how would you suggest that our members position themselves as leaders in this space? There's so much noise, and a lot of what you're talking about, there's a lot of people communicating in ways that are really scary and not effective. Aside from being positive and trying to communicate your own perspective, how can we position ourselves as leaders so that consumers are listening to us and not to all of the noise that's floating around out there?
I think right now, picking up the phone and calling somebody is a big deal. I think a personal phone call, FaceTime, let them see your facial expressions, let them hear the tone of your voice, connect with people right now. People are caught in their phones and social media because it is a source of information of what's going on. But if you pick up the phone, you break that pattern, you get a chance to talk to them and say, hey, I want to run you through some things that we're seeing in the marketplace right now. And there are sources upon sources upon sources out there of great information that people can pull this from. I mean, look at MBS Highway, one of your partners that is, and Barry Habib is the source. He's the lighthouse right now when it comes to understanding the market. I would get on there and pull as much information as you can, learn the sequence, because I mean, they make it easy to be an overnight expert. They give you the script. Go get those scripts, record yourself doing that, hold them in front of you as you're talking to somebody and say, hey, I want to read you something. If you think you're going to sound scripted in the beginning, guess what? You're going to sound scripted. But that's what practice is for, right? And so, and if you don't want to sound scripted, tell them, hey, I'm going to read you something that I just read. I thought you would enjoy it. And you read it, and then the value isn't even in what you're reading. The value is in the discussion that follows afterwards. And so have the courage to pick up that phone, get FaceTime, whatever it is, and call people directly and somehow connect with them in a more personal level. We need that connection now.
That's awesome. And it's so true. Getting a phone call from somebody has such a different impact than even a text message or an email. And while it's not the most scalable, right now is one of those times that we need to take advantage of the opportunity to position ourselves as being the thought leaders, not just in a crisis, but after.
Right. Absolutely. And here's the thing too, and I warn people so often, and I was not popular for saying this. And I tell people, if you don't want to create your value proposition around rates, meaning you don't want to be constantly rate shopped, then stop glorifying low rates. Instead, be an advisor to them. Because what's happening right now, and I was just talking to another executive like 10 minutes ago, and he said, right now, the consumers think rates are lower than they really are. I said, well, no wonder, because everybody that never communicated starts saying interest rates are the lowest they've ever been. We train the consumer to think that way, and now when rates go up a little bit, they come to you with the expectation that you created. Instead of saying, hey, this is a great time to build wealth for your future. Let me show you some strategies on how to do that. Interest rate just happens to be a component of the bigger picture. Those are the conversations that need to start happening.
I love it. Love it. You're saying the same thing that we try to tell people all the time. This is why we're great partners.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
We only have a couple minutes left, so I have one more thing that I want to hit you with really quickly before we wrap up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll try and get one or two in at the very end. But before we do, you've talked on your social media channels about having to adapt your day-to-day business to shifting environments. So given the current state, which is really new for a lot of people, I don't think any of us, even those that were around during the financial crisis, have experienced anything quite to this level. What would you recommend they do to manage teams that are now working remotely that may have never done that before?
For sure. Video conferencing is the savior right now. And having some protocols around video conferencing is going to be critical. I mean, imagine if we were having this conversation and I'm like, yeah, totally. And so, no, it's good. But, one of the things that we're doing, and all of a sudden now, where's my attention? I can't tell you how many people I say, face the camera, put things away, engage as if you were in person, make sure your hands are visible so you can see that this is what's going on. And if you got to look over here, say, hey, hold on 1 second and look over. But if you're a manager, you have to put the protocols in place. And also, if you're doing video calls, you know how many times people do this? It's just crazy. Like, hey, what's going on? So good to see you. And so this is what I'm thinking about the marketplace. This is not a very influential position in the place. So understand framing. Look how beautifully framed you are in the picture. We're both framed here. This is utilizing the space, but you're setting yourself up as an expert. Those are the things that have to happen. So those details, being fully engaged in what's going on, using video conferencing, followed by, though, personal phone calls. If you're managing people, call someone. Hey, how are you? What's going on? Anything I can do with you? Anything I can do for you? What's happening? Some people are going to manage their stress a little bit differently than others. Some people are going to be just fine. Some people are going to be legitimately stressed. And we have to have compassion for those folks, and we have to give them tools to be able to deal with it.
So just one more thing to play off of that. What would you say to the broker owner, to the manager out there who's sitting here going, I don't have time to call everybody on my team. I have more business than I know what to do with. I'm already struggling getting back to my consumers. How do I make the time to have a personal conversation with everybody on my team at the same time?
A real manager would never say that.
Okay.
And here's why I say that. This industry has promoted management in the worst possible way. People forget that if you manage people, it is a privilege of leadership. People are looking to you for guidance. They're looking to you for coaching, not just giving you an override, not just giving you extra money. And I don't mean that to be harsh. I mean that to be from the bottom of my heart. These people need you. There is a call to leadership that needs to happen. People need to step up. If you don't have the time, then you got to consider what your role is. So I said, make the time. It is worth slowing down just a little bit to then speed up during the process in the future. Think from a long-term perspective. Don't get caught up in just all of the minutia and what's going on. Be there for your people.
Love it. All right, we are pretty much out of time. René, is there anything else that you want to share with our community before we wrap up?
I'm going to be launching a bunch of videos, a series that we call the Lighthouse Series. And this is just videos that we're going to be giving out to the marketplace, things that really help us. I'm not a market expert. We're going to leave that up to the Barry Habibs of the world. I'm not a mortgage expert, even though I've been in the industry for 18 years. I want to help people understand behaviorally and emotionally what's going on, and giving you some tools to be able to deal with you throughout this process so that you can put this brilliant mind that you have to work to help more clients. Right now, it is what your work is in refinancing homes and getting people in the homes is the biggest stimulus package that we could have right now. It is the most important, the best thing that you could do. So getting focused and getting clear, that's what we need all of you to be doing. So let's get out there, let's get focused, get rid of the distractions. Let's go out there and make a difference.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we will be talking to you again very soon. Anyone has any questions after watching this back, feel free to drop them. We'll kick them out to René and make sure we get responses for all of y'all. Otherwise, everybody have a great one. Thanks again, René.
Thank you. Katie, so good to see you. Thank you.
You too.